bad governance, to go against corruption. In Kenya, the president was forced to fire almost everyone on the cabinet and also went ahead and they rejected the financial bill that was going to be passed. And in Bangladesh, we saw the youth rising and forced the prime minister to step down. That was quite an achievement for a country. Well, that was. And so, yeah, as we celebrate, International Youth Day was celebrated yesterday. I think there's so many things that we can be highlighting to look at the concerns of the youth in Kenya and Uganda. Quite the concerns a little bit very related, especially unemployment that is growing. We have seen young people complain about it. Apart from corruption, unemployment has been a concern. And of course, the young people are concerned of their future, to see where are they heading, what is awaiting them tomorrow, and it's pushing them to think harder and harder how things can happen in a better way. Away from that, yesterday we saw another story that was coming out from around Kampala, and I think the story was about the garbage. Because of course now the dumping site, which is Chitezi, has been the main dumping site. It was out of reach. And yesterday our team was on the road in Kampala to find out where is garbage going. So we also learned that garbage was piling up in Kampala. The one thing that most of us may not realize is that there's a lot of garbage that's collected in Kampala on a daily. I mean, if you move on some of these roads, especially now Gaza Road, where that leads, you know, some of these trucks go to reach Tezi, you will see lots of trucks, huge trucks that have collected garbage from around Kampala. So garbage is a serious issue in Kampala. So if you're looking at a scenario where the dumping site is cut off, what happened with the daily garbage that's collected from the different divisions, different cells in Kampala? Kampala has hotels, Kampala has guest houses, Kampala has market areas, Kampala has restaurants. All these people are, you know, producing garbage on a daily. Foods, Kavera from, you know, different things. All these things are piled up. Thousands of tons are piled up, and they have to be collected and taken to one single place. So you realize that if one place, if the main place where garbage has to be taken is cut off, it is a major crisis. And that's a crisis we could be heading into, or we are already in. Much in the air, there was already, you know, a concern there. Around Kampala, there was a concern that was happening around town on the issues of concerns of garbage. But now, I don't know exactly how it's going to be, because the ideas of an alternative solution, alternative garbage area was suggested some years back, but had not been implemented. So we are looking, the suggestion I think was in Mukono, and we're also looking at Mukono people standing their ground and saying, you know, we don't want this mess from Kampala to be dumped on us, which I would say they're right. I mean, garbage comes with its own challenges. It comes with pollution, a lot of it, by the way. Pollution in terms of the polythene hazards that are dumped. Talk about polythene bags. These are hazardous materials that solutions, because we have a lot of need on creation of so many things. And for countries that have understood what garbage can do, I have seen in the Asia one factory that is used, that's recycling pineapples and creating very interesting lotions, creating very interesting oils out of it. We have seen countries that are recycling, different things and coming up with very good construction materials, coming up with shoes, coming out with so many things. So these materials are still important. They are still useful. They can still create a lot of very good utilities that we can actually benefit from. But what matters is about a country coming out and says, okay, this is a priority now, let's see what we can do. Because this has dangers, and we have now realized that actually the dangers are real. Chitezi is now a very big example of how serious we need to take garbage as a serious problem and a serious challenge to the community. That is among the things that are happening across the country. But we hope everything is going on well wherever you are from the stories that have been happening. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we're going to look into a number of other things that are happening across the country. Stay tuned. Yeah. And yes, a very good morning. Let's get right into the press review. Let's see what's happening around the country from the different. I'll start with the new vision here. Chitezi government issues directives. 200 millions, 200 M buffer zone created. And also experts offer solutions. And also, I lost my wife, baby survivor says, these are sad stories. These are sad stories. Somebody lost a wife, lost a baby. The survivor was saying that. And Prime Minister Robin Anabanja front also, and here the other officials touring Chitezi village in Kasangati Town Council, Wakiso District, where the garbage buried homes on Saturday morning. Nabanja's visit to the site took place yesterday by press time, and of course 22 people had been pronounced dead. Zaifa Semanda. Okay, there is some of the story that you can find in the new vision. You can get to see what the Prime Minister told the people of Chitezi on her visit. Very important stories here. And if this story doesn't teach Ugandans on a number of issues, then maybe we will not learn. And of course, one of the headlines here, the president told the youth to shun away from corruption. A very good message. I don't know, that question, that message there to the youth also has more that has to be talked about. Shun away from corruption. But the leaders are the examples to the youth, Mr. President. And I still feel like as this is emphasized, there's a need to make sure that, the leaders who are corrupt are dealt with so that the youth pick up an example and say, this is actually bad. if I don't shun away from it, this is where my life is going to go. Promotions is a statement of commitment and hard work. I'm seeing a lineup here of men and women in uniform. And also State House officials speak out on Katanga land. You can also find that story. You must fight corruption, Seven tells the youth. You must fight corruption, Seven tells the youth. I do not know exactly how the youth have to fight corruption, because one of the things that the Constitution stipulates is that I think when there's dissatisfaction, it's okay for people to protest and make sure that some of these people are forced to stop being corrupt. Peacefully protest, by the way. So if we are saying the youth must fight corruption, and the very youth, when they come on the street, are the youth who are arrested, then there are concerns, questions of concerns to the youth. I'm sure some of them are as confused as I am right now. But yeah, find ways. One thing I know is that there are so many other ways of fighting corruption that we can get to think about. But also, let's keep in mind about the other major ways. Chitezi disaster, government to relocate residents, orders 200 million buffer zone. And we have the photo of Elias Lukwago here, the mayor. You can get the location of Chitezi here, where it is. It's in Wakiso district, actually. So Wakiso has been a dumping site for Kampala people. Kampala people may see me. Kololo students identify classmates who died in the Chitezi. Oh, this is sad. Kololo, this is a mighty school, but quite a distance. And I've seen a number of students who travel from Wakiso to come to Kampala town, to Kololo actually, in particular, because these guys, their uniform is very unique, to come and study. So Kololo students identify classmates actually, not even a classmate, who died at Chitezi dump site in Mog. This is very heartbreaking. And police start restricting access to bodies at mortuary. That is very important, because you can't just let everyone go there. You'll find the whole community in there. So, but this, you can find the story about this in the New Vision. I hid under my bed when dump site collapsed, says a survivor. This man has been put on the front page. And of course, he has scars that he's going to remember. He hid under the bed. We do not need dump sites experts. Maybe here is where we get to talk about recycling. You can read this story, an expert advising we do not need dump sites. That's also in the New Vision. We'll try to finally make SCCA turn garbage into power. On the other hand, this garbage can be used to produce power, actually. I don't know how, but there are lots of solutions. And this is a gold mine we're playing with. And other countries have harvested a lot from it. Lawyer charged, remanded over 4 billion cooperative cash. Corruption fight there. And yes, that is in the New Vision. You can find yourself a copy of that and see what is happening around
Smart 24, driving business.
Turn your house into the GoTV Kids Club. Your GoTV package is your ticket to entry, and there's plenty for everyone. Discover new places, play along with wacky characters, and learn fun facts and essential skills. So get and stay connected to GoTV for 24-hour access to the GoTV Kids Club at home and on the go with GoTV Stream. GoTV. Love it.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Amanya gange nze Nasoro Jamida nvira mu Kalaji era nga ndi beka mbekinga amandazi, donuts ne daddies, mbadde mbekinga ne cakes era nga maze mu weeks 2 nga traininga wano nyongeddeko obukugu kubanga mbadde nyina skills ezimu ze mbadde sirina ng'okubekinga emigaati mbadde sikimanyi, mbadde simanyi kwayisinga cake, how to manage a business, manya nti ebizibu by'aba customer, how to find a market, mbadde sibimanyi byonna, nzuula nti akatale we kali, naye mbiyize mu weeks zino 2 ze mmaze nga ndi mu training eno. Waliwo mukwano gwange yali amanyi nti mbekinga era nga akola mu stroke, ye yankubira essimu ng'ali mu kuwandiika abajja okutraininga. Nankubira essimu nange ne bampandiika ne bampita n'enzija. Obubaka bwe nnyina eri projekiti ya GROW nti okututraininga tukuguse era naye tubuzaamuko ka GROW capital. Tubulamuko ka capital kubanga twetaaga okuba ne machines.
East Africa is quite a region with a lot of interests from us, from all stakeholders, including us, the citizens, and also the international community. They know that, yes, East Africa is a hub. Cross trade between Kenya and Tanzania at Lunga Lunga, a one-stop border post, will increase after connection with the port of Mombasa was opened after completion of Dongo Kondu bypass. The completion and opening of the 307 and $106 infrastructure this week within Mombasa Port road network will enable movement of goods to the second busiest border between Kenya and Tanzania after Namanga without using the Likoni ferry. Now, you know, like any country that has to really boost its economy, depending on other markets, is very important. Now, Kenya is a production hub, and of late Tanzania is also in a very tight competition for the East African community market. We have seen East Africa taking over Ugandan market in terms of foods. We are really feeding on Tanzanian rice. That was never thought about. So when you see such things coming up, you realize that, you know, we are on the verge to make sure that the East African community depends on each other. But also still about this project, the project will later connect with the 460 kilometers East Africa Coastal Corridor Development Project. Imagine 460 kilometers. That is quite a huge project between Malindi and Bugamoyo, which is being funded by the African Development Bank. African Development Bank is another story that we need to give credit to, especially when it comes to international news stories. We have a story about Somalia that is benefiting from the East African Development Bank. And it's a grant from the European Union. According to the latest data from the two trading countries at the border, Tanzania exports major agriculture product through the border, whereas Kenya exports manufacturing goods and raw materials. Now, this is quite interesting. It's like Tanzania has picked interest in agriculture, and they are doing quite well. Like I said, we have a lot of rice, actually, in beans coming from Tanzania, a lot of it coming from Tanzania. And traders in Uganda are finding it very, very lucrative to do business with Tanzania in terms of importing rice from there. So then we have Kenya, that is a production hub. They are doing a lot of manufactured goods. For very many years, we have seen Uganda depend on oil products from Kenya. You can talk about so many of them, including lotions and, you know, detergents in the house and all that. Kenya has been that manufacturing hub in East Africa. And the contract was awarded to the Fujita Corporation, Mitsubishi Corporation consortium on February 20th, 2019, with the signing taking place on April 18th, 2019, and was expected to end March 2024, but it has completed earlier, according to Kenya National Highway Authority. That's amazing. I mean, how these guys do things that you finish a project before time? In Uganda, besides projects being very expensive, we also take a lot of time to finish them. You find even the shortest project, people are taking forever until, you know, until the president says what is happening with that part. Then they'll be like, oh, we need to finish on time. And the construction undertaken by China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation commenced in 2018 and has now reached a pivotal phase with the partial opening of the roadway. Amazing stuff from Kenya and Tanzania there. With a total length completion. Although the bypass is currently in use, an official emotional opening will follow, celebrating the completion of the landmark project, said Mr. Ogege. That's very exciting news there from these very serious East African community countries. The contract was awarded by the, okay, there you are, the coastline transactional highway project conceived more than 2 decades ago cover Bagamoyo, Tanga, Horohoro on the Tanzania side, and Lunga Lunga, Mombasa, Mtwapa, Malindi on the Kenya side, and it is expected to cost $751 million. According to the financing agreement, African Development Bank will finance 70% of the highway, and the government of Kenya and Tanzania will cover 30% of the Kenya side, although already 2 phases between Mombasa and Kilifi are at 85% to be completed. These are major projects, and for someone that believes in the East African dream, I find this one of major milestones that we have. Already we have a connection with Tanzania. There's an oil pipeline that's being built from Tanzania to Uganda. And of course, Uganda, we are still dreaming, in process almost, make sure that the standard gauge railway from Kenya to Uganda, I think that's already in process actually, because we saw Troro, the works have been ongoing. Just that some of our things, we should be honest, sometimes we're a little bit slow. We're a little bit slow with some of this implementation of the project, but we understand the social, political challenges sometimes that we do face. We'll get there. We'll get there slowly by slowly. And yeah, that's a story that's coming from Tanzania. And also, we still in Karibu, East Africa, we have a story from Zanzibar that is also very interesting. In the meantime, experts from China Agriculture University who traveled to Zanzibar to assess the new rice variety development. And the drought-tolerant rice was planted on 1 acre at Kibonde Muzungu farm. It's interesting. Located on the outskirts of Zanzibar city, after 115 days, the crop was harvested, yielding 2.5 tons of rice per acre. That's amazing. Dr. Liu Zhao Chang from the Shanghai Agrobiological Gene Center noted that the rice variety matures 10 to 20 days earlier than local varieties and is particularly well suited for higher ground. So that means people in Bududa can also plant this rice and which are the mountainous areas. There are so many places if this can be planted in those areas. And yes, this is amazing from Zanzibar that we are looking at. Well done, Zanzibar, for making sure that you are thinking in terms of the future. He highlighted that the rice could significantly boost food production in African countries and help reduce methane emissions, which is associated with global warming. The rice adaptability to low water environments and its reduced fertilizer needs, just 1/3 of conventional variety, also significant advantages. Now, you know, like rice is a crop that grows in water areas. Swamps, for us who, you know, have grown in rice-producing areas, rice-growing areas. But now, this kind of rice that Zanzibar is experimenting grows in low water areas. That means it can grow like any other crops, like maize, possibly. And I think that is very amazing. And you should know one thing. Rice as a food crop is feeding the global community. Rice is one of the most consumed agriculture produce of food that has been sustaining the community, especially Asia. Now Africa, because now Uganda we have a lot of varieties. We have matoke, we have so many other things. We have kalo, but rice is a global food that is helping people who are going through hunger situations a lot. So when you see such a story, it's not just a story, it's a global solution that can be looked at and considered strongly as an achievement. So yes, congratulations to Zanzibar. Now, let's get to the international news. We have Somalia here, but also it's also connected to East Africa. But I think that's how amazing it can be. Somalia economic growth, a mixed bag, says African Development Bank report. Now, Somalia's economy is projected to recover to 3.7% growth this year and 3.8% in 2025 as it reaps the benefits of the East African community. Remember, Somalia is one of the latest members of the East African community that just joined recently. And I think it's amazing to hear about the results that it's benefiting from the East African community already. And Somalia is also, should also be remembered that Somalia has gone through war for quite a number of years, that it had to pull all different African countries, majorly Uganda, that has participated in peacekeeping. Our forces have been in Somalia for years, making sure that they combat the Al-Shabaab, which has been a huge threat to the development of Somalia. It's one of the things, as we talk about Somalia's GDP picking up right now, we also need to look at the stakeholders that have been very significant. Our president has been very committed, and also our government has been very committed in making sure that our forces support Somalia. And also one of the other things is that as Uganda, I think we have accommodated quite a number of our Somali brothers in the country who have been running away from this kind of war. A number of them now have set up businesses here, which I'm sure they get to support their country over and over. So yes, I think the East African community, Somalia being part of the East African community, they're also having these results read out. It's very interesting to see how the East African community can be very significant in development. No, it can be. But yes, it is very significant to the member countries. According to the 2024 Century Focus report on Somalia released by the lenders, Somalia's GDP growth will be driven by a recovery in livestock services, private consumption, remittances, and investment. The country's strategic location on the Red Sea and Indian Ocean positions it as a regional export hub to the Gulf. Somalia has one of the biggest ports in East Africa. They are very well strategically located along the Red Sea. And you know what that means? They stand even higher opportunities than us, who are a landlocked countries that have to depend on Kenya for export, have to depend on Tanzania. And yes, with the relationship that we have with Somalia, we are looking at also strengthening that and making sure that we benefit in one way or the other. But also, the African Development Bank wants that the growth could be impacted by the dispute with Ethiopia over the latter's deal with the breakaway state, Somaliland, on the use of its Red Sea port. I think the social or political challenges are still major in Somalia. But, you know, with the resilience that Somalia has had over the years, I think I commend them for making sure that they are still standing firm and protecting their country and surviving. We're also citing insecurity posed by Al-Shabaab and climate change shocks and low domestic revenues. You know, low domestic revenues can be understood in the fact that Somalia's economy is struggling with all these political instability issues. So I think low domestic revenue can easily be, you know, dealt with and can be improved if Somalia's political stability is achieved. Because, you know, Al-Shabaab is still a threat to Somalia, and they still cause a lot of havoc. And you know, with this war, there's a lot of businesses that are happening in, you know, in a wrong way. Black business, and you know, that is happening in a wrong way, which causes a lot of loss in terms of revenue collection. There are areas that, I don't know what they call their revenue authority, but there are areas that URA would not go to operate normally. So I think it's very understandable with such issues. Somalia qualified for a 4.5 billion debt following the achievement of the heavily indebted poor countries completion point in 2023. Improvement in the debt sustainability from debt distress, admissions to the East African community positions Somalia to the benefit from regional trade and East African security. So imagine Kenya has a strong armed forces, Tanzania has a strong armed forces, Rwanda, Uganda, and of course Uganda has already been supporting, even Kenya has been supporting. So I think with all this combined, we might be able to bring Somalia to the right table, to the table of economic growth. And that is what's happening across East Africa, and of course from the international community news. For now, we will go into a short commercial break. My name is Noah Pera. This is Smart Means Business, and you are watching Smart 24 TV, Driving Business. Stay tuned.
Smart 24, driving business.
My friend, just enter. Everyone now has all access to Pearl Magic Prime. Kasim, give this man some biscuits.
They're over.
They're over. But you see these people here, they are on GoTV Plus, like you. But now they can watch big shows like Sanyu, or they can watch Beloved and they cry. So my friend, from now on, it's more magic to Uganda's best shows on GoTV Plus.
Amabara nibanyetaye baziwe Rusiya Nyenduga Kyegegwa district Kabanda sambaire ninkoro mulimo gwa saluni mazire mu mwaka gumu Kabando wa saluni narora eje
our unlucky losses, you stood firm, supporting even louder. Fire, fire. Now, as Uganda Queens take on South Africa and Congo this September, South Sudan in October, and play our second legs against South Africa and Congo in November, bring even more fire! Because with your support, Uganda Queens is unstoppable! Uganda fire! Brought to you by MTN, the #1 supporter of Uganda Cranes. Together, we are unstoppable.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste.
people to stand on their feet. We'll go into our business quote today. When we return, yeah, let's get to talk about so many things that are happening. Stay tuned. And yes, consumers are looking for brands they can connect with. You see here, to a branding expert as me, definitely that is one of the things that I would like to share with you business people out there. And that this quote was by Joe Farah, and that is the founder of Snickers. Brands are not just symbols. Brands are services. They symbolize services. They stand for products and goods. Brands stand for relationship between consumers and the service providers or the producers or the companies. Brands have, people look for connection. That's why there's a lot that has to be incorporated in brands. Its appearance, its communication strategy, its storytelling. A brand is supposed to make sure that it captures the mind, the heart, and the soul, and the eye of the consumers. And consumers are always looking out for that particular thing that is going to speak to them. You know, I'll tell you one thing. Some brands, because they are that good at communicating with they create connection with their consumers or customers. Their products are not even very good. But you know what? They are more consumed than others. And this is quite a strategy in business that business people have always missed to understand. Brands, you don't need to just present a logo. What does that logo represent? What do you communicate to people? You know? So the consumers are always looking out for that, that touch when it comes to branding. And I think a number of us miss that. That's why when we talk about business at Smart 24 TV, we do not only talk about, you know, business. We are with the communities. We are with the lowest person at downtown to find out what he thinks, what is, you know, what are the challenges they're going through. And we want to highlight those opportunities. It's why a business person would wake up and connect himself or herself with Smart 24 TV, because we understand what it means for brand to connect with people. Anyways, so that came in there and has come at the right time when, you know, different things are getting being understood. It has come at the time when some businesses are struggling with different things. But I'll tell you one thing. Even the closing of businesses around Kampala by traders due to disagreement with the government, there are brands that will thrive. There are brands that are going to, the brands that will not survive. I'll tell you one thing. What legacy have you planted in the minds of your customers? What connectivity that even when you have closed for 1 week, when you come back and your customers hear that, oh, the other restaurant actually opened, they will come running because of the customer care relations that you offer, because of the good, services that you present, and because you present yourself well out there as a mighty brand, as a magical brand, as a, as a sweet brand, as a brand that cares for the community, that if your customer stands with other people, he will gladly say, I watch Smart 24 TV, proudly. Why? Because he knows that when he talks about Smart 24 TV, he's going to get this respect from people who are listening to him. Why? Because they respect that brand. So connectivity is what people look for in brands. And this is one of the lessons. Very interesting quote there. Very interesting quote. So this is one of the things that you should really understand about brands today. Otherwise, we're still on. And I'll tell you one thing. Despite what is happening, business has to go on, and business is going on. Like we said, we have seen quite a lot of projects that are happening around East Africa that we were still breaking down. And I would still want to, emphasize on some of these, especially, the agriculture project that's happening in Zanzibar, the Somali GDP that is amazingly picking up after so many years of war and instability, and of course a number of their citizens running out and seeking refuge in different countries. I think one thing is that if Somalia, like the trend, the direction they have taken, depends on the East African community, as they have decided to. East African community is a force to reckon with, and I think it can sustain its members in one way or the other, because militarily we have invested in the military, despite this, the instabilities that are happening here and there. We have invested a lot. We have seen Kenya go against instability with a very strong arm. We have seen Uganda go against militias and rebel groups in northern Uganda, in Renzori region, and all that. So I think Somalia connecting with East Africa, there's a lot to harness. And in the next few years, you may find that being a country that is well located, because if you look at Somalia, if Somalia got stability, political stability, it won't take them a decade to have a boost. For example, tourism. I think Somalia is one country that if stability is achieved, tourism it can just boom in the shortest time possible. They have beaches, they have historical sites, and definitely people would want to go and visit Somalia. So it's still an emphasis on the report that has been given by the African Development Bank. Talk about the East African community market and the East African production force. Kenya alone, Somalia would not need to begin, looking at the West or China, or they will definitely just open borders with Kenya, and Kenya will definitely supply in Somalia. Talk about the agriculture that's happening in Uganda and Tanzania. Somalia will definitely just strengthen trade with Uganda. They will be supplied with food and everything, and business people are going to harvest from this. And also one of the things that I noticed about Somalis is that they are quite very organized when it comes to business. I have observed business families in Uganda. Some of them, of course, I won't talk about their businesses straight away. But at least I've observed their businesses and their approach to businesses. They depend on each other when it comes to building business. Families, they respect business models that come in. We have seen restaurants that are surviving in Uganda, Somali restaurants. We have seen other businesses, petroleum businesses that are surviving in Uganda. And Somalis, I think, are capable of building their country for as long as some of these things that have been reported by the African Development Bank report, in the African Development Bank report, can be handled, especially political instability. If that can be handled, you definitely can look at some of the things being achieved. Talk about what is their story, I think, in this time that I would like also to give more light, more light about, is the story that is happening in Zanzibar, where they are introducing a new gene of rice that is drought resistant. I think this is also something that is amazing. If the rice can grow on areas that don't demand for too much water, it means that if you're looking at areas in Uganda that are not swampy, plain areas, talk about Karamoja, it means somebody can plant rice there with a basic irrigation system, and still Karamoja can harvest rice. You're looking at northern Uganda, it means that they can still grow this rice. So Zanzibar has implemented this, but I think also it's something that with time, other parts of Uganda communities can also pick up. Apart from some of our areas, like Butaleja definitely doesn't need this kind of rice, maybe in some areas, but we definitely may not need this kind of gene of rice because we have lots of swamps. But also the community of Butaleja has also embraced a lot of rice growing, small scale, large scale. So yeah, looking at the Zanzibar story, it is something that that we definitely can look at as an achievement for East Africa that we can pick up from there. And thanks to the Chinese authorities that have picked up with this initiative that is being implemented. That aside, I would like to give more comment on the issue of garbage in Kampala. I think tonight we're going on the economic agenda. We're going to have experts who are going to highlight, to give more light on some of these issues. But basically, this is where experts need to come out. And as we have seen, some experts already saying we don't need garbage. We don't need garbage landfills. We don't need landfills because already suggested in Dundu, in Mukono, that we need to create another. Imagine. And you know, where a landfill is, that land is rendered useless because the only thing it does is to accommodate garbage. So experts are thinking we can get into energy production out of this garbage. And many countries are doing this. And the technology is there in this era. The technology is there to turn this garbage into energy. We know that we depend a lot on hydro power, generated from lakes, which we have seen some of our very beautiful sites like Bujagali turned into a dam. But here we are with free energy that can be turned and help so many Ugandans, and so many productive things can come out and even create employment. So yes, our scholars, our professors, our scientists, can we look into this and see how garbage, this too much garbage that has become a problem, can be turned into very productive things instead of thinking landfills and landfills. How many landfills are we going to have? I mean, if Kitezi was created in 1996, and in 2024, it has become a problem. That's about 30 years, really? Yeah, roughly 30 years, maybe. In the next 30 years, you have another problem in Mukono. And this one is still a problem. So how many problems are we going to continue creating? We need to think in terms of solutions right now. So I think it would be good to consider some of these experts that are saying, no to landfills. Let's consider collecting this garbage and make sure that we produce energy out of them. And of course, so many other things can come out of this garbage, but even agriculture, fertilizers can come out of this garbage, some of this, garbage. So yes, a lot can be done and a lot can be thought about, but all that starts by discussing on some of these issues. And of course, the emphasis is to the authorities. Sometimes we let a problem grow. One of the questions that I would like an opinion from you, the viewers, is on the issue of blames on who is to blame for Chitezi incidents. Many have blamed the victims. Why did you go and construct it in that area? Finally. Understand future challenges and predict future challenges are definitely supposed to be questioned right now. How did the people construct in these areas? Who approved these houses? Despite the reports that are coming out that this problem was predicted long time ago, look at the permanent houses in this area. Serious houses in this area that were constructed. Now, with all those houses, we are certain that these people, the houses were approved by the authorities before they were constructed. So who is to blame? Besides the people who, who through our logic and went ahead and constructed houses in these areas, the houses were approved by the authority. Which authority was aware of the problem? So yeah, I think that's why we stand with the blame game. And it's sad, it's very sad that this is where we have reached with this issue. And we need to make sure that we revise our policy implementation mechanisms and we stick to the law. If it is wrong, let it be wrong. Bible says let either be yes or no. Don't say at maybe. No. This guesswork is causing a lot of issues in the country. So if it's a no on construction near the landfills, let it be no to the authorities and make sure you stand by it. Make sure that people do not construct there. Restrain them. Implement the policies that are meant to be. The same thing that has happened in Nansan, where NEMA came and, that was quite absurd. They came and smashed people's houses. But yeah, still these houses, did these people just come and constructed there? Some of them had land titles. Who gave them the land titles? Are we lacking collaboration between the institutions in Uganda Is NEMA lacking collaboration with KCCA? Who is robbing who right now? Are the questions also that we need to ask ourselves. And as journalists, those are the questions that definitely want to ask some of KCCA members when we get them. As for now, we definitely are going to sign out, and sports is going to come next. Means business, and you're watching Smart 24 TV, driving business every day from 7 up to 10. You get to re-echo the stories that have been happening across the country in your ears. So stay tuned for more programs and stay blessed. Take care of yourself. Construct where it's lawful to construct, and make sure that you take charge of your life throughout the day, throughout your life. Stay blessed. Bye for now.
Smart 24, driving business.
Everyone